So, here I am, day 3. Actually, is it day 4? It's day 3. It's day whatever it is to me. But now I realize why people do these when they're putting their makeup on. You know, I'm not doing my makeup things because as a tutorial, because if anything, I would be a what not to do video. But I feel all sorts of ways this here morning. It is a beautiful, beautiful morning. Actually, it's gray and it's ugly and it's not the nicest weather, but I am determined to get out. I had a friend stop over, so change that schedule just a wee bit, but I am going to go out later and do a lot of errands. I have some booking calls I need to return, and also sit down and write up a plan for, what I'm going to do next. I am really pleased with the way my hair turned out. Also, it makes me realize, like, what is the shape of my head like? Do I need to see? These are the lines. Oh, that does not look cool. But these are the lines that all these celebrities try to get rid of. I'm like, oh, that is a funny look. But yeah, I went to this party yesterday that I was photographing, and while I was there, well, as soon as I got there, there was another photographer, which I don't mind, but it was a small space, and I was supposed to be the only photographer. And I say that not because I want to be, there can only be one. I'm not that person. No, there can be a ton of people because we're all capturing the moment. But I personally don't. I personally don't like having like 2 photographers at an event for a long period of time, because if it's a small space and the room is dark, the flashes that are constantly going off, and I was thinking about it, it's like, okay, there can only be one in this situation, because I'm thinking of the people who are having these flashes just like boom, boom, boom. I'm like, oh no, there can only be one. We don't need that many photos of this particular event. And this photographer was there for press reasons. I was asked to come to kind of to document the event for the person who was having the party. It was for free. But I left because I'm like, I can't compete with someone who is, you know, there and there and there and there and there and there. It's like there'll be plenty of photos to remember it by, and I had to go. And so I did. And I felt bad for a little bit, but then I was talking to my daughter, and she was like, yeah, I hate going to things, and I personally, myself, I don't like the flash in my eye constantly. And so when we're lining ourselves up and we're doing the same thing and over again, it just, it ends up being the same photo over and over again. So I said pass on that. But I am in a very sing-songy mood this morning. I am wearing my Eat Real, Be Real shirt. This was one of my slogans back in the Nothing But days. And I love the whole marketing aspect of business is what I really enjoyed about when I had the granola company. I was so not like somebody who ever, I didn't grow up eating granola. I grew up eating Little Debbie's, because who doesn't like Little Debbie's? And so I had this idea for this granola company after I had started this muffin company, and I realized, I realized that with muffins, because I woke up one day after I had poison ivy and I was like, oh, I'm going to start this muffin delivery service, blah, 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 blah. And so I started making muffins at this cafe in town and like selling them to her. And I came up with this one called the Westport Morning Muffin, or it was kind of like my take on one of those morning glory muffins, but it was just like really good. It had zucchini and apple and pineapple and craisins and honey and all sorts of shit. Pumpkin seeds, walnuts. It was like packed. The bitch was dense, and also with applesauce. So it was a bitch. And here's the funny thing. At the time I started this company and I was fully doing it, I wasn't even eating any of the products because I was on this like food program where I didn't eat bread, pasta, rice, sugars, grains for like forever. And so I just kind of made up this recipe and I did it intuitively. And so I started selling it. I had a little name. I make this company called Bluebell Muffins. And then Bluebell Muffins, I was like, no, the muffins don't have a shelf life. And so I started making these granola bars, and my granola bars were really, really good. And I still have these recipes in the bottom of my drawer if anybody wants to buy some really good granola bar recipes. They're top fucking notch. But they're kind of expensive to make, but they were great. And so I started making these granola bars and started selling them also to the coffee shops, and realized that people liked them a lot. And I had this full range of products that I planned to do, and so I switched gears because I was thinking of longevity and then shelf life, because if you have something with shelf life, you're able to do a little bit more and you can go further than muffins that have to be made and baked and eaten within a couple of days. And so I was like, oh, granola bars. And so I started off with that, and then I came up with, I was talking to this friend who, see, this is good for me. You know, this is really good because I'm actually remembering things, not remembering things, but I'm just like putting them where they belong. But my friend who was in advertising, he worked in Saatchi and Saatchi for like 25 years, and he was retired. And he was, we were talking about it, and I was like, you know, it's nothing but this and nothing but da 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 da. And then he was like, oh, that's your name, Nothing But. And I was like, oh, yeah, it is. And so that's how Nothing But, wait, let me see if I can say it, Nothing But Foods was born. And so, yeah, then my granola bars kind of, it kind of took off, and then I had a business partner, and then things changed, and then things failed, and they failed massively, but not in a bad way, but in the way of, we sold the business to, oh, I should put some makeup on while I'm doing this. That's what makes sense, because I can tell a story while I'm doing this. So we sold the business to Dr. Prager's, and we had incurred debt. And one of the things that this company said that they were going to do was to pay off the debt. And I thought that was going to be okay, that's cool, blah, 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 blah. We didn't make a penny. I didn't see a penny. In fact, I still have an insane tax bill as a result of that whole debacle. And so we sold, and then comes to find out, let me get you on this one. Here, let me tell you a story. Come to find out, they barely paid anybody the amount they were owed. They paid them pennies on the dollar. So, if you owe them, because they had promised to take on the debt, but if you owed the company, or the company owed you money, like $30,000, nope, we're going to give you $3,000. And that's what they did. And I have never seen anything so fucking vicious in my entire life. And I can't even buy another one of the products as a result, because I was like, oh man, that is so rude. And then after I worked for him in a cut for like a year and a half, which was like a nightmare, because I had to drive back and forth over the highway, which is totally not my thing, but I needed money and I was always so stupid with my money. And so I was going back and forth to New Jersey working in product development at their crew, and they have such a lovely, lovely people who work there, but a fucking nightmare, because they ended up tanking the product and tanking the business. And I think about the things that they did to change it, and one of the things that they did was they changed the recipes and the formulas from what I wanted and what I had, because they're like, oh, we're going to change it to this because it'll taste better, and da 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 da. And it was always when somebody else decides to like put their dick into my things, where it's like, oh, I didn't ask you to go there. Don't put it there. Wrong hole. And so they did that. And then they also erased any sort of personality that had been in the business. They took it all off. So anything about me, anything about my partner, it was just erased. It just became this brand where we believe, it's like, where are the fucking faces to your brand, motherfuckers? Don't do that to people and think that they'll want to buy the shit. So they took off the brand personality, which was oddly me. How oddly me. Yeah, so they took all that off, and they couldn't get production costs down, which, in my opinion, let's go back to telling the story how I fully believe it should have happened, where when we had money, I think that instead of constantly fucking around and trying to find these different co-packers and whatnot, it would have behooved, it would have been in our best interest to look into building out our own production facilities and controlling the manufacturing. And when you control the manufacturing, you control the story, you control the future, you dictate what's going to happen to your fucking product. But they were on to different pages. And so I was constantly told, no, Jerry, no. You're just a chef. You don't know anything about anything. We're going to go to this co-packer. We're going to go to that co-packer. And we went to this co-packer and that, one co-packer constantly fucking hairs. Long hairs or ball bearings in the bars. I'm like, fuck. And so I would call up crying to them. I mean, crying because I am a crybaby. I have always been a crybaby, but I'm like, dude, why am I getting these complaints about people getting bars with a hair in them? Nobody wants to eat a fucking granola bar, and you're like, hair, long, black hair. No. And so that was gross. And then like a couple of times their equipment broke down and it's ball bearings. I'm like, the first couple of months that I was training the people at this facility how to make the product, they were out in Poughkeepsie. And I swear, this was back when we were just making the granola bars. And it didn't morph into granola cookies just yet. But I would have, growth is necessary, but once again, because we didn't control the operations, we couldn't do things at that speed, and everybody was so like, hurry, 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 let's get that co-packer, let's get it now. And they fucking shat on us, and that's what happens. And so I was crying every single day because this facility in Poughkeepsie was so gross. I mean, it was like just dirty. And I don't understand. I mean, I get it, and I know that ovens cook shit down, but I'm just like, really? I have to entrust my life and my future and my daughter's future into someone else's hands because greed. And if we go at this speed, we can get this. But when the manufacturing facility is just so gross, it just like chipped a little bit of my heart out every single time that I would drive up and down this highway, and having to like do that. And so when you control your co-packers, you're eliminating things like this. You're eliminating hairs, ball bearings. And then as the company grew, we had another product called granola cookies, because they were like offshoots of like the little pieces of granola bar. I was selling like people the little break off pieces, and they love that. And so we started bars, bites, and bits. That was the whole thing, bars, bites, and bits. And then my partner thought, oh, granola cookies. I still think it should have been bars, bites, and bits. But I also think Nothing But was supposed to be an umbrella brand for other products. And so it wasn't just a fucking granola bar. But people of little visions, ye shall fail. And that was me for dropping the ball and not leading the ship, because I was a poor person and I took the wrong advice. But when we had the cookies, we also had this company out in New Jersey, another in New Jersey. That's why I hate driving over the border sometimes, bad memories. Um, and they would send out the packages not sealed. And so we had these multi-million-dollar orders, or not orders, we have these big giant contracts and stuff going to Costco regions. They weren't fucking sealing the bags. And once you kind of fuck up in a Costco region, there's no returning that. They were like, one time they burn all the cookies, and then another time they weren't sealing the bags. And so it's like you're only given so many times to like mess it up. This is such a horrible angle. I need to learn my angles, boo. Ooh, my head looks like potato when it's like this. Oh, but that's not a good look. It's not a good look at all. No. Yeah, that's better. Ooh, ooh. I need to go downstairs and make myself something delicious, delicious and healthy. But first, I think I'm going to get on my treadmill and do a little bit of exercise. But I think I needed to just vent this morning, because you always have to control your own narrative. From being at an event where, you're one of two in a small space. I hate that. And I've just like decided, like, I don't like flashing people like that. It's just, it's not healthy for our brains. And because I end up like with a headache myself. And so like, oh, I'm not going to play. And when it comes to business, if you can somehow always control your manufacturing process and make sure that whatever you do, you retain a percentage of it so that you can control the fucking decisions. Oh, yes, I said it. Because when you cannot, then you're really screwed. And you end up 51 in a rental property, not fully living the life that you want, because your opportunity at success was, I wouldn't say it was taken away. I think that because of my lack of proper funding and funding myself and having a little bit of backing my own, I was unable to make the final decisions, and in the end, my chance at being, you know, something and someone in terms of financially at that point were taken away. Um, but also, I kind of let it happen. And I say that because I should have been smarter. I should have been smarter in the beginning and known certain things. And so I wouldn't have just taken any money from anywhere and things would have been different. I'm looking at the shape of my face. I'm like, oh, girl, you gotta watch these lines. My leading lines. Oh, but. So that's my story. And I'm sticking to it because do I have any other choice? Now, I'm not bitter, and a lot of people say I have every right to be bitter. But you know, it's a learning lesson. You learn, you take the good, you take them both, the bad. You take them both, and then you have the facts of life. Yeah. And so I know what I did and where I went wrong, and I know that in the future, one, should I come up with a great recipe or something fantastic. Recipes are for the fucking public domain at this point because I don't know if I would ever get back into the manufacturing and production of a food product unless I could control everything. Which doesn't make me a control freak. It just makes me not an idiot when it comes to trusting other people and putting your entire life and future in their hands. And so I think that that's what happened. And as a result, je suis ici maintenant. Oui. So that is the story behind the Eat Real, Be Real. Is that even a story? So yeah, I had this muffin company, and the muffins were really, really good, and they started to grow. But then, yeah, you can't really grow a muffin company because, well, I could have, and I still think that it's a great idea. And these recipes were really, really good. I don't know what it is. I'm good at developing recipes. It's kind of like my little kink. Um, and also control your manufacturing facilities. It always works. And then I had the muffin facility. And then it became the granola bar. And then the granola cookie. And then we started outsourcing it to every single person instead of ourselves. And when that happens, you can't be accountable. And nobody's being accountable. And I also understand that when, you know, you gotta show up. You gotta show up. Alright, I got to go. Let's start my day. Yeah. Today, I think I'm going to, I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do for my daughter's birthday tomorrow. She turns 22. Yeah. Can't believe it. That means 22 years ago today. Where was I? I can picture it. I was in Taiwan and I was very pregnant. I was in Taiwan and I had a scheduled induction because I was 2 weeks past her birth date. Um, and it was very interesting because I had already taken maternity leave, but that's a story for another time. Oh, no, yeah, okay, fine. Oh.